Postgame is presented by Canva. Love your work. A happy Thanksgiving to you and yours from us and ours. Joe Musso and Emery Hunt. Pleased to be wherever you are. Emery, you good? Is the turkey working on you here?
It is. I ate a lot yesterday. We celebrated yesterday, and today was the leftovers. And you know, they only go for so far.
I'm going to tell you that crumble apple pie upstairs got something to say. We got something to say on this game as well. Emery, when you look at what Dallas has done differently these last 2 weeks, I know opponent is one thing, but last week and this week seems to be a defense that's made more changes here in the absence of some offensive firepower.
Guys are starting to play their role and play their position. You start to see, like, the run game. Mozzie Smith starting to step up and be that force on the interior that they wanted him to be. You're also seeing a guy like DeMarvin Overshown showcasing his athleticism. Micah Parsons looks like the Micah Parsons that we wanted to see coming into the season. So that's what frustrates you about Dallas. It's because they have pieces in place. They should be better than they are. But that's what also excites you about Dallas, because they have pieces and you know they are better than what they're currently playing. And we saw that today, albeit the Giants. But again, this was an easy spot for the Giants to come in and probably take advantage of a Cowboys team overlooking them.
Yeah.
And so they did what they had to do, knocked out the Giants in an impressive fashion.
Felt like last week specifically with DeVito coming in. Obviously, DeVito not available for this one. It was Drew Lock. But last week was the change in discourse from let's figure something out to let's get our eyes on the top of this draft class. This loss leaves them in line for something special near the top of that draft. Just 2 wins this season for the Giants. Give me a point of assessment here for the Giants. My eyes go to Malik Neighbors. We can get there in a bit. What did you take away most of all from this 60 minutes?
Don't laugh at me.
Okay.
But this is where I'm going with this. The Giants are legitimately a quarterback away from being a postseason football team. You talked about Malik Neighbors. That's one. If you look at their receiving core within the division, I think they're right there with Washington. And you can kind of make a case pound for pound. They may be slightly better receiver-wise than Washington. The run game has shown to be solid with Tyrone Tracy being the lead dog, can catch the ball out of the backfield. We know about the former receiver. And we know on defense you have Dexter Lawrence and you have Kayvon Thibodeau, and they have to rebuild everything else. But I do feel like the offense showed you today with Drew Lock, they have enough to be successful. Theo Johnson, the young tight end, showcasing his skill set out there, catching the football, making some athletic plays after the catch. The offensive line, I feel like, is stable when healthy. And they picked up Greg Dulcich on the practice squad. We know he had some success out there in Denver. So they're not as bad as their record may indicate, although Bill Parcells says you are what your record says you are. But this team, you can legitimately see, if they had a quarterback, they could at least be 6-5.
A quarterback away, I was going to say away from what then becomes the question, because I think maybe a quarterback and a tackle, if not 2 away. You got some other pieces that you need. Everybody always assessing personnel in the offseason, but the biggest move forward for this team is going to be finding that franchise quarterback. There's still football out in front of New York and some matchups that you don't want to be embarrassed within as well. What does the rest of this season look like for the Giants if this is ultimately the best effort that you're going to get here against the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, you want to see who wants to be there. And, you know, you see this in college football where you kind of are limping toward the back end of the season, and you want to find out who's going to be your guys to go to in the spring. If you're this coaching staff, you plan to be around, who's going to be the guys you can count on next season? We just named some of the guys that's going to be their cornerstone players, like your Malik Neighbors on offense. Tyrone Tracy can be a guy. Thibodeau, you expect to be a guy. We know Dexter Lawrence is one of the best defensive tackles in the league. And so you're trying to find out who else can step up and be one of our guys. We know Andrew Phillips is one of their guys, young rookie nickel corner. And so that's what the last parts of this season is going to be about. I love the effort the Giants played with today. They didn't lay down and just let Dallas just run all over them. They actually showed fight and got back into this ball game and gave a glimmer of hope for their football team. And so we'll see how they finish it out. But I think it's all about finding out who can you trust next season.
Let's go through that same thought experiment with Dallas, because this is the team only playing for the future now in the absence of their star quarterback. But again, still pieces there. Will Micah Parsons re-sign? That's another question. Sack and a half, a highlight on the defense in this effort. But Rico Dowdle, have they found a feature back there? First 100-yard rusher for the Dallas Cowboys in 26 games.
What I loved about what he did today was the fact that he got into that running back groove where you're getting those consistent carries. So now you can anticipate a lot better. The game starts to slow down for you in terms of what you're doing running the ball. You could see things clearly. And because of that, he had his best day running the football. He just looked natural. He looked explosive. He looked in tune with the blocking scheme. Everything just worked and allowed Cooper Rush to operate well off play action. So, yes, they have great talent with Rico Dowdle. We talk about Jerry Jones and how he can acquire talent. Great use of the UFL. I mean, all his specialists are all UFL performers. He also had Josh Butler, who got injured today, but he was another UFL guy. So Jerry is stacking the roster with guys that can play, and I like that they're finding out who can they trust. going into next season.
And then what will that roster look like if they do break off Micah Parsons and you got all that bread for 3 players? What will it look like around it? Questions to be answered in time, but we get an answer in this one. It's the Cowboys over the Giants by a touchdown. Emory, thank you as we take a look at the longest win streaks over the Giants. There's your active streak. How about 8 in a row? Dominance over the divisional opponent.